All right, what is up? Today we are going over Task Delta, Student Evaluation, Assessment, and Testing of the FOI part of the CFI check ride. And again, on the left, we have the ACS right here, Task Delta, and then this is the document that I made, goes word for word with each of these parts. Okay. Yeah, I haven't made a video in a couple weeks. I just had LASIK 1 week ago, and then I had my check ride a couple weeks ago, so just got that stuff out of the way. LASIK went well. I just had some issues, astigmatism in both eyes, so not great. Didn't work well with contacts, so got that out of the way, and now I'm good. So yeah, Task Delta, Student Evaluation, Assessment, and Testing. First, we have purpose and characteristics of effective assessment. For that, I have the FAST COCO acronym. So first is flexible. Your evaluation goes over the entire performance. And then it has acceptable. Students should trust the instructor's evaluation. So whatever feedback they give you, they're going to take that and accept that that's the correct assessment of their performance. Specific, you're not too vague in your evaluation, like you can't just be like, that's a bad landing, that's a good landing. You're like, tell them exactly how you evaluate their performance. Thoughtful, deliver the results with regard with their self-esteem. So give them feedback, but not purely feedback. Like give them some compliments, like you did good here, but you just need to do this a little better. Because if you're always hammering down on them, they're going to have no self-esteem, hard for them to perform. Comprehensive, should cover at least the areas looking for improvement. So for a whole maneuver, give them not just the one thing they did wrong, but like, if you do, I need you to do these, and these, this, and this. That's what I want to see out of your performance in the future. Objective, your evaluation is not all opinionated. It also focuses on like the ACS standards. And then constructive, the student should benefit from the assessment. Obviously, we want to give them positive feedback or feedback that will help them in the future. You want them to get better. And then organized, I like to use my iPad, write it down, and then I can I can share it with them on my iPad, like screenshot it or just send it to their phone. That way they have it. And then I like to organize it in order from like maybe first maneuver to last maneuver, just go in order, just like that. Just organized flows easily. So that's purpose and characteristics. Now we have traditional assessments. These are going to be all of the assessments that we've done in like high school, middle school. So on a written exam. So multiple choice, matching questions, true or false, and then like fill in the blank. And these you might see on like the pre-solo exam that you have to give the student, or like their written test is going to be that multiple choice. Authentic assessments. These are going to include the learner-centered assessment, or I use the LAM acronym. So learner-centered assessment engages the student and uses open-ended questions. So just giving them like, how do you think you did on that performance? How do you think you did on that maneuver? And then if they, they'll give you what they think. And then you're like, okay, yeah, I could see that. Like maybe do this, and this. I agree. You could have done this better. That just to see how they felt about it, because you want to know what they're thinking. Assessing risk management skills. I kind of went out of order just to make it an acronym, but there it is. Assessing risk management skills. Um, so the student performs real world tasks. So that would be like a weight and balance, maybe a nav log, just a flight plan of some sort, just seeing how they do with a real world question like that. And then maneuver procedure grades, assessing the students' maneuvers and procedures. Pretty simple. And that one's right there. Okay, and then we have choosing an effective assessment method. This is going to be D-led uh, acronym. So determine their level of learning objectives. So this is going to be objectives. This will go in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1, determine level of learning objectives. These objectives will measure the CAP domains, like we went over cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. You just want your objectives to reflect those. List indicators of desired behaviors. So select behaviors that can be measured in aviation. Most things that we go over can be measured, maneuver. Whenever I ask questions, I can obviously tell whether they're right or wrong and how much knowledge they have. And then establish criterion objectives. So define performance-based objectives. Um, so that's going to be either like my opinion on how they're doing, ACS standards, stuff like that, check ride standards. And then develop criterion referenced test items. So create an exam that measures their behaviors on that specific criterion that we just established. So maybe it's a written test, maybe it's the ACS standards like we went over. And then purposes and types of critique. Okay, so yeah, we just went over this one. Purposes and types of critique. This is going to be the WILS acronym. So written critique is the first one. The instructor gives a critique of the student written down. Like I said, on ForeFlight, I'll write down everything and then give it to them. So it's a written critique. Instructor and learner. So the instructor led groups with student critique. So you put everyone into a group and then the students critique. Learner led. So learners with some sort of background can critique each other or have a discussion about a certain thing. Learner critique by another learner, so the students will critique each other. Small groups will be given a specific task, so just breaking everyone up and then they critique each other in that small group. That way it's more personable and like you're in a smaller group. And then self-critique, so just have the students critique themselves with the instructor supervision. That would be that one. Now, oral assessment. So an oral assessment is literally just like your oral for the check ride. It's just asking questions in person about a certain topic or testing their knowledge on a certain thing, just sitting down, asking them questions. And then that'll be including characteristics of effective questions. This one I used the BACA acronym. I thought that was pretty easy to remember. So a characteristic of effective questions, you want it to be brief, concise, and clear. You want them to understand the question or how are they going to answer it. And then it applies. So based on the subject that you're going over, you want it to be related, not just out of the blue. I'm asking them an IFR question when we're working on private or something like that. And then we want it to be challenging. So the student has to actually think about the question. It shouldn't just be like you're constantly throwing them free balls. It's just easy questions. They're going to get their ego, too high. You want to give them challenging questions that you think they could get correct. So they have to think about it. And then you want them to be centered. So who, what, where, when, and how. Those are just the kind of questions you want it to center around. So it has like one simple question in mind, and then adapt. Every student has different levels of knowledge, so just adapt your questions to fit the student's knowledge, essentially. Types of questions to avoid. So you don't want to have for this one I used Bitpot. Um, Easy to remember, I guess. So bewildering. Don't cover too many subjects in one question. Just like I said up here, just be brief, concise, and clear. Not too many subjects. Just keep it simple. Irrelevant questions. Wanted to relate to the student, what they're going through, what they understand at that point in their training. No toss-up questions, so questions that, this is kind of the right answer. It could be this or it could be that. Just like questions like how many cylinders are there in the engine, like not a toss-up question. No puzzling questions. So it has that one element like we went over: who, what, when, where, why, or how. Oversized, so the question's not too long, or they're just going to get confused. They're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be answering here, or they have to think through the whole thing. Just keep it, just like I said earlier, concise, clear, and brief. And then no trick questions. So you don't want to lower their confidence, or you're looking for them to not get it. I have a lot of instructors do this to me. I don't know why. They want to like boost their ego or something, but trying to trick the student with a tough question, um, like gotcha questions, don't do those. So answering learner questions is next. Students are going to have plenty of questions when you're an instructor, so just answer with the correct answer the first time. Remember, like, primacy in our other tasks, so teach them the right thing the first time. So answer correctly, and then in a way that makes sense to them. So if they ask me how an airplane flies, I'm not going to go through the entire explanation of it like I would on my check ride if it's like their first day. I'm just gonna break it down simple enough that it kind of makes sense to them, and then we can break it down after that. And then assessment of piloting ability, kind of a random one at the end, but it's just an evaluation based on set standards, like the ACS or a standard set by the instructor, on their ability to fly the airplane. And that way they can correct for the future, because that's the whole point of this evaluation system. We want them to get better over time, and the better you can assess them and evaluate them and help them, the better they'll do in the future. And that is it for task D. So any questions, any comments, let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I should come out with task E soon. Thanks.